Welcome to Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better.
Great to be here.
So today we're kicking off with a deep dive into Angela Duckworth's work on grit.
That specific paper, Unpacking Grit, it's fascinating stuff.
It really is. And for you listening, someone who's already on that growth path, always looking for ways to improve, we want to cut through the noise, figure out what grit actually is, why it seems to matter so much, maybe even more than talent.
That's the big claim, isn't it?
Right. And most importantly, how can you actually cultivate more of it?
Exactly. Duckworth's angle is really interesting because she looked at all these different high achievers.
Mm-hmm.
And the common thread wasn't just natural genius. It was this combination, this passion and perseverance for long-term goals. That's what she calls grit.
It really challenges that idea that success is all about being born with it.
Totally. It makes you think back on times maybe you've seen success and just chalked it up to, well, they're just talented.
Or even downplayed your own hard work sometimes, like, oh, I just got lucky, or it came naturally.
Right, when actually maybe grit was the bigger factor. This research really offers a different lens.
So let's unpack grit itself. You said it's two core things.
Two key ingredients working together, passion and perseverance.
Okay, let's start with passion. What does she mean by that? Because it's not just like being super excited about something for a week, is it?
No, definitely not fleeting excitement. It's more of a deep, enduring interest in something specific. Consistency over intensity, maybe.
Consistency, so sticking with it.
Yeah, gritty people find their area, whatever it is, intrinsically motivating. They're drawn to it, and they stick with it through the ups and downs.
How does that kind of passion even develop? Does it just appear?
Rarely like a lightning bolt, according to the research. It often starts with just exploring things, trying stuff out, see what clicks, what sparks your curiosity. Then, if something resonates, you start digging deeper, building skills.
And that initial spark can grow.
Exactly. Yeah. It can deepen into something that feels more like a sense of purpose. The key is having that general direction, that commitment, why, that keeps you pointed roughly the right way, even if the specific path changes.
So it's less about finding the one perfect thing instantly and more about exploring and then committing when something really grabs you long term.
Precisely. That enduring interest.
Okay, so that's passion. What about the second part? Perseverance. That sounds like the tough part.
It's definitely the stick-to-itiveness, you could say. It's the ability to keep going when you hit roadblocks.
Setbacks, failures, boredom even.
Oh, definitely boredom. Plateaus, all that stuff. Perseverance is that resilience, that ability to bounce back when things get difficult or plain monotonous.
So it shows up as actually finishing what you start.
And pushing through obstacles, doing the unglamorous work that needs doing. Failure isn't seen as like a final verdict.
More like feedback.
Exactly. A chance to learn, adjust, try again. Duckworth has this great line.
Effort counts twice. How does that work?
Well, the idea is talent multiplied by effort gets you skill.
That makes sense. Practice builds skill.
Right. But then skill multiplied by more effort, that's what leads to achievement.
So effort is crucial at both stages, building the skill and using the skill effectively.
You got it. So think about a time you really had to push through something challenging. That's your perseverance muscle working.
Right. So grit is this blend of long-term passion and that resilient perseverance. Now, the really provocative part. Duckworth argues this combo is often more important than raw talent.
That's where some of the most compelling evidence comes in.
Like what? What did she find?
Well, she studied cadets at West Point during their really intense summer training. They call it beast barracks.
Okay, notoriously
extremely tough.
Oh.
And you'd think, okay, the recruits with the best test scores, the highest talent markers, they'd be the ones most likely to make it through.
Seems logical.
But that's not what she found. Grit, measured by her grit scale, looking at passion and perseverance, was actually a better predictor of who would stick it out and complete the training.
Wow. So determination trumped innate aptitude, in that context at least.
In that high-stakes context. It wasn't necessarily the stars on paper, but the ones who just wouldn't quit.
And it wasn't just West Point, was it?
No. She found similar patterns elsewhere, like the National Spelling Bee.
Really? Spelling bees?
Yeah. The grittier kids, the ones who practice more, and specifically practice more effectively dealing with difficult words, they tended to go further in the competition.
Regardless of just their baseline verbal IQ.
Exactly. Again, grit seemed to add something beyond just raw ability. And you see it in sales, teaching. People with more grit tend to perform better and stay in their jobs longer, even when things get tough.
So the takeaway seems to be that significant achievements, They just take time, right? And lots of obstacles.
Almost always. Talent might give you a running start, maybe makes the initial learning curve a bit easier.
But it's the grit that keeps you in the marathon when you hit the wall.
That's a perfect analogy. And that's why focusing too much on talent can actually be, well, harmful.
How so?
It can foster what Carol Dweck calls a fixed mindset. You start thinking your abilities are just set.
So if you struggle...
You think, oh, I guess I just don't have the talent for this. And you might give up too easily.
Or you might think effort is kind of unnecessary. Like if I were really talented, this wouldn't be so hard.
Exactly. It undervalues the sheer power of sustained effort. Does any of that resonate with you, thinking back?
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone's felt that way at some point. This is too hard. Maybe I'm just not cut out for it. It's almost like a defense mechanism against the struggle.
It can be. But the really good news here is that grit isn't necessarily fixed.
So you can develop it. It's not just something you have or you don't.
That's the core message. Duckworth outlines ways to grow it, both from the inside out, working on your mindset and habits, and from the outside in, shaping your environment.
Let's break that down. Growing grit from the inside out. What's first?
It starts with interest. Actively exploring things to figure out what genuinely captivates you.
So not waiting for passion to magically appear.
Right. Be proactive. Allow yourself to follow curiosities, even small ones. Then let those interests deepen over time. Nurture them.
It sounds less pressure-filled that way. Just explore. What's something you've been curious about lately but haven't really looked into? Maybe start there.
That's a great starting point. Just dip your toe in.
Okay. After interest.
Practice. But not just any practice. She emphasizes deliberate practice.
Deliberate practice, what's the difference?
It's focused effort. Zeroing in on specific weaknesses, pushing yourself slightly beyond your current capabilities, often involves getting feedback and lots of repetition. It's intentional improvement.
So not just mindlessly putting in hours, but really focusing on getting better at specific things.
Exactly. Think about a skill you want to improve. Where's your edge? How could you push that edge just a little bit, very intentionally?
Okay, that requires real concentration. Interest, deliberate practice. What else?
Purpose. Connecting what you're doing, your goals, your daily grind sometimes, to something bigger than yourself.
Like finding meaning in the effort.
Linking it to the well-being of others or a larger value you hold. Purpose can be this incredibly stable, powerful motivator, especially when things get tough or tedious.
How could someone practically do that? Connect their work to something bigger?
It could be reflecting on how your work helps others, even indirectly, or aligning your goals with a cause you believe in. Even small connections can make a difference to your drive.
That makes sense. It gives the struggle more significance. Okay, one more for the inside out.
Hope. And this isn't just wishful thinking. It's cultivating an optimistic, resilient outlook.
Like a growth mindset again.
Exactly like a growth mindset. Believing that your efforts can lead to improvement. Seeing failures and setbacks not as dead ends, but as valuable learning opportunities.
So it's about how you frame the difficulties.
Precisely. It's about believing you can figure things out, that challenges are temporary. Can you identify an area where maybe you tend to have a more fixed view when you stumble? How could you try shifting that?
Definitely something to work on. That covers the inside out. Interest, practice, purpose, hope. What about growing grit from the outside in? The environment.
Yeah, this is crucial too. Surround yourself wisely. Seek out environments, cultures, people who value passion and perseverance.
Like joining a team or a group that has that gritty culture.
Exactly. Being part of a community where effort and resilience are the norm. It rubs off on you. It reinforces those behaviors in yourself. Think about gritty role models or mentors.
Being around people who push through challenges is definitely more motivating than being around complainers or quitters.
Absolutely. So consciously choose environments, work, hobbies, social groups that support and encourage that kind of growth mindset and perseverance. Are there communities you can maybe join that align better with that?
Good question. It's about being intentional about those influences.
It really is.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways for someone listening.
Number one, I'd say, remember grit that sustained passion plus perseverance is often way more crucial for long-term success than just innate talent. Don't sell yourself short if you don't feel naturally gifted.
Right. And remember that effort counts twice. Effort builds skill, and then more effort turns that skill into real achievement.
Definitely. Then practically start actively cultivating your interests. Explore. Don't wait for perfect passion.
Embrace deliberate practice. Don't just go through the motions. Focus on improving specific weaknesses.
Connect your goals to a greater purpose, however small. Find that why beyond just yourself.
Foster hope and resilience. Treat challenges as learning opportunities. Adopt that growth mindset.
And finally, think about your environment. Surround yourself with gritty people and cultures that support your growth.
It really feels like this framework puts the control back in our hands. It's not about waiting for talent, but actively building these crucial qualities.
It is. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a continuous journey.
Well, thank you for taking this deep dive into the power of grit with us on Applied Wisdom, Literature for Living Better.
My pleasure.
We really hope this exploration of Angela Duckworth's work gives you some valuable insights and maybe some actionable steps you can take, even today.
Yeah, maybe think about one small step this week. Could you explore a budding interest for just, say, 15 minutes?
Or identify one small way to apply deliberate practice to something you're already doing.
Or just reflect for a moment on how your efforts connect to something bigger. How could that fuel your motivation?
Lots to think about. Stay tuned for the next deep dive.
Yep.
And hey, if this helped you out, if it sparked some ideas, please do like and subscribe. It honestly really helps the channel reach more people.
It does indeed.
Thanks so much for tuning in.